Hey everyone, Sean and Johnny here again with you from House Now 3D. Sean, how's it going, man?
Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. And thanks for checking out more about 3D printed construction.
Amazing, man, amazing. So today we are on video series 8, and we're going to be talking about equipment. So as a mechanical engineer, I love me some equipment. I love large equipment. I love machinery. I love technology. And this is where it really gets exciting for both of us, I know. And we can talk about the equipment and the kind of just all the different pieces, which is obviously the one of the, you can have technology, you can have software. And of course, none of that's going to happen or make any effect, or, no one's going to give a hoot unless you see a big machine out there doing the work. So let's walk through that. So we're going to talk about 3 topics today, kind of the types of 3D concrete printers we see out there, the calibration and setup, just kind of at a high level, just so people have an awareness. And finally, something that maybe they don't want to think about as much, and that's kind of the safety and the maintenance procedures. And each one of those has lots to talk about. So let's get into it, Sean. So let's kick it off for the types. What kind of types and just kind of what does machines look like?
Well, there's a bunch of them actually, and they all serve different purposes. They're just a tool on the job site. You're going to have your large gantry system, which I think a lot of you have seen in some of the earlier videos and links. Those are large machines, and they take a lot of time to get set up. You're going to have your foundational supports for your accesses that have to be set up ahead of time. But
That's key. That's key, isn't it, Sean? Like, 'cause a lot of these machines they're large, but then they need a stable place to put them. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I mean, just think about it this way. You don't want your nozzle head, moving a quarter inch on every layer that you put down. You want consistency everywhere. So there's a lot of time to get it up. And some of these, you might need a 50-ton crane to get it up. But once that thing is up and going, you're printing and you're off to the races. You definitely have to put it up, take it down, clean it, and move it to the next site. There's some people who have multiple printers on site with gantries. And you've got a bunch of different ones. You kind of have like a gantry setup that's on tracks, so it can go maybe 40-foot wide by 40-foot long, but you can extend the tracks another 40-foot long, or another 40-foot long. So
that's like, if I remember correctly, that's kind of the Icon, that company out of Austin, Texas. Is that kind of their style, that kind of the extension?
They definitely have one. Black Buffalo has one. And also, I was told Cobot's latest machine, the 3.5 BOD, will actually be going the same way, because there was a bunch of people saying like, okay, there's 5 different manufacturers. They all have different printers. Which one's the best? None of them are the best to me. They're all about, what do you want to do? If you need to print a larger print area than 40-foot wide, and the machine can't print it, you can't use that machine. I've spoken to people like, hey, here's my floor plan. I go, well, that machine's out the window. And they're like, why? Like, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't print. And there's a lot of advantages to those machines. They can go up multiple floors. Delivery system seems to be pretty intact. And some of these manufacturers have built very large structures across the planet. And of course, you've got different types of crawler machines that can get in on like tank tracks, or some of them actually have like robotic arms, 6 or 8 of them. They kind of look like a spider.
Oh,
There's
wow.
a great company out of France doing that. Opus Core's got their tracks down in Florida, and some people like robotic arms, so you can do on-site or off-site. And there's some people who are really for doing a lot of this off-site to
Yes.
control everything in the factory and then move it. There are
Yeah.
challenges to moving. I wouldn't want to be moving big blocks of concrete construction 200 miles. I haven't done that. And who knows with the interstates in New York and the rest of the country, what that's going to look like. But there's multiple printers, that have their own features. Some can print faster than the other ones.
And just I guess, and slip in one thought here. The motivation, of course, is why would you be motivated to print something inside, maybe a warehouse or some building, and then move it with a crane or a truck or whatnot to on-site, to the final location. Of course, we know that another huge challenge, of course, is the weather. If it's cold, if it's rainy, if it's like hot as blazes, those things clearly, as we've talked about in previous videos, have an enormous effect on the quality of the output. As you're printing that concrete, is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is it too stiff? And then, of course, that interaction with the material, and then, of course, the weather and the temperature affects the final product. So that's there's like, it's not simply just a personal preference. It's like, this is like fundamental. But then again, you have the enormous, I guess, con, if you would, of then having to move large pieces of concrete with, again, with trucking, this kind of thing. So a lot of competing variables and benefits here as you work through this. Is that, I think you'd agree with me on that one, Sean.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some that, the printer will show up on the back of a pickup truck, and there will be like an 18-wheeler that has no material in it. So you don't have to have the material outside. The material won't go off. And, not saying there's a shelf life on concrete, but there kind of is. You want to use it.
Yeah.
The elements get to it. So it's just, each company has their own preference, and each building site is going to use a different tool. So I don't want to say that there's one right printer for every job. In my opinion, there's not. There's some I definitely would lean towards, but do you want to get in? How fast you have to get this up? Maybe you can even have the machine on wheels and just move it over to the next slab that's ready to go. So I think there's a lot of great space for innovation coming, and I got to thank all these leaders in the industry, because they're breaking the eggs and doing the hard work and saying, hey, version 1 of the printer worked, version 2 didn't work. What can we do for version 3, and put more cameras on it, and maybe connect other design implements into it, or a dual head extruder, or can we actually try to spray it down as it's printing, or what can it do next with the tool? So it's not like today there's one printer and you just go get that and you print, because there's so many new advancements coming, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Let's talk just real briefly. We don't want to go, because it's kind of like when you're on site and using a machine. What have you seen? What kind of feedback have you gotten, Sean, or just heard from the guys that are making these machines for calibration, and how sensitive some of these machines are? Is it a long, does it take like a week to set these things up? And also the calibration, we know they're precise once they get, they're sitting solid, they're sitting where they need to be. They're not getting, on boggy, squishy ground. But what does the calibration procedure look like?
Well, I think anyone that's ever going to tell you that the slab is going to be perfectly flat is fibbing to you, because it will never work that way when you're doing a foundation. Slightly off is never a problem, but I mean, some of these machines, they're very smart. They can adjust on the fly. They can take the coordinates of where they are. They can stop printing and get to the next print area and just start again. There's a lot of advancements in that. Whereas the printer head in real time, they always do their best to try to let it run its course. Why even put the material in there? Like, does the print head know how to follow the path? No.
Yeah. And oftentimes, and just throw this one in there, oftentimes a machine properly set up is oftentimes more accurate than the slab as placed. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and I mean, it can make adjustments, but also it depends. You've got it all set up and ready to go, but your first, 4 layers are not the exact layer height that you wanted. Like, is there compensation for that? What do you do at the end of the day? Are you remeasuring? Is that changing the dimensions of your windows and doors just a little bit when you have to frame things out? I mean, they're very precise. They're robots. They're very, very smart, and in time they're going to keep getting better. But yeah, calibration is just, I guess, comes down to practice, using the machine, getting used to the machine, putting everything up, taking it down, and learning and growing with it. But the machines do what they are told to do if they get the right input.
Right on, man. And the final little subsection here, that is like this, that's on the safety and the maintenance procedures here. So just to see that conversation, safety. So if I'm standing in the way, and obviously I don't want to be, drunk or something really stupid, but maybe I'm not paying attention. Maybe I'm on my cell phone, and all of a sudden this big robot is behind me, and I'm just like zoned out, and I get, bumped over, or my head gets knocked, something like that. And of course, then on the maintenance side, what if I, decide to take lunch and the concrete freezes up in the hose? So talk to us about some of the challenges there on the safety, and then of course on the maintenance.
Well, I feel the safety, the improvements using 3D printing technology on the site can make your job site much, much safer. I mean, the problem with work site insurance is going to be accidents. It's going to be falls. It's going to be somebody getting hit in the head. Too many people in a closed space. Workman's
comp is such a huge percentage of a general contractor's budget. People don't, maybe they know that, maybe not if you're in the building trades, but it's a large percentage.
So by removing, certain people from the job site, and just having a clearer view of what's going on, you can reduce injuries and risk for people in the industry. From what I've seen, what I've been talking to people about, but it is a giant robot. It is a machine. I know a lot of these printer heads have sensors on them
Yeah.
that they can see in real time. So they're going to sit there and like notice that there's a person on there, or like, hey, something's here, it's not supposed to be here, and it'll shut down.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways, from automatic stop buttons, normally like don't press the big red button, it stops. That has challenges. If you have to stop the printer, stop the machine, stop the pump, you just got to start it over again. And I'm sure there's going to be some challenges, but you should be testing that on site. Like, what is the worst thing that happens? We lost power. Great. What do you do? We lost water. What do we do? Oh, there's a clog in the hose the size of a tennis ball. What do we do? So you keep seeing these issues coming up over and over again, but they just work through them. And there's some amazing people. Like if you're in a construction job site, as you know, John, you figure it out. You get to
We do.
work. Nothing's going to stop you, or you're not going home for dinner. You're going to get that job done day by day with the people you put on your team.
Awesome, man. Well, all right, everyone, that is a kind of a wrap for this video 8. And again, we talked about, the equipment and machinery for 3D concrete printing. We discussed the types of 3D concrete printers, calibration, and then finally the safety and maintenance issues that just might arise. Again, we're just having this high level discussion on things that might come up, things to think about in different ways like that. So of course, we appreciate reviews, comments, follow us on social media and other platforms. So until next time, Sean and Johnny, hey, later.
Good day.